So we have Rita and Kathleen. Kathy, do you still go by Kathleen? I noticed that for a while you were...
I was raised by my family as a Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
And then at university level I started using my full name, Kathleen. So at home in England, my husband calls me Kathleen, my one sister-in-law calls me Kathy, and my second sister-in-law calls me Kate.
Oh,
And
lovely.
then when I come home to Pittsburgh, everyone calls me Kathy.
Uh-huh.
Or Kathleen.
Yeah.
But I was born December 20th, 1946. Greenmont Avenue, I think? Yes. Mercy Hospital or something? Right. And lived in Pittsburgh until I was 17. Then I went to Fordham University, and I lived there for 4 years. Then I went over to Geneva, nearly 2 years.
And what did you do in Geneva? I remember you going by boat. Isn't that when you took the boat over?
Yes, I took a student boat. I don't remember the name. And I went in September 1968, went by boat, landed in Amsterdam, and then trained down to Geneva. There I worked for a company called Investment Overseas Services, IOS. And I worked there for over a year, and then I went to Paris, hoping to work for the United Nations, but they told me that if I wanted to do any work in Africa, I'd have to go back to the States and get a master's. So I went home, worked for a year in New York, and then I went down to Georgia Tech and studied urban planning. And Georgia Tech then said, well, take one term and go to another university for a change, for experience. Well, I went to the University of London, stayed there for the whole year, took a diploma in town planning for developing countries. I then went to Africa, to Zambia, and I worked in Lusaka for the Ministry of Overseas Development on the project which the University of London had organized. Before going to Africa, I had met Andrew Simon, and so after the project finished, I decided to go back to England to be with Andrew. And I applied for positions in town planning in England and became a planning officer at Tamworth District Council, and I lived in Stafford with Andrew. We were married in 1976. In 1978, Daniel Simon was born. In 1980, Natasha Kate was born. And then in 1982, Lucia Alexandra was born.
This little rascal right here.
Yes. Still a rascal. And so I spent many years developing the garden and my interest in gardening while I was at home with the children. Somewhere along the line, when Lucia was probably about 4, I bought a health food shop and owned that for about 3 years, which was an interesting experience, but running a shop is just far too demanding with a small family. So I sold that, continued to be with the family, and then I did go back to town planning, working at the University of Kiel, which is up in Stoke-on-Trent in Staffordshire, and I carried out their estate plan, which was something which the British government asked all universities to undertake. And that took a couple of years, and I enjoyed that, and then I became property manager, but by then my husband had changed careers, and he wanted me to help him at home. So I now undertake Andrew's office work, and at the same time we have now got a place in London, so I am very busy enjoying London, where I spend 3 days a week, as well as the children, keeping an awful lot of going down to see them on weekends and going off to watch hockey matches, and they come home many weekends, maybe not all 3 together, but one might come home for the weekend. So we've been very busy with the family. I've been busy with the family, and so has Andrew. And now we've come over. This is June 1998. And we've come over to see the family.
Well, Kathleen, your children are the most beautiful, well socialized, magnificent children I have ever met in my life. You must be a wonderful mother.
Well, I'm sure all my sisters have just as interesting children. I know Adam certainly is, the charmer.
Hello.
Hi, Adam. Gosh,
No voice.
that's a
for
pretty
me.
deep voice.
I know.
Hey Adam, Natasha really had a super time last night.
Did she? Good.
Yes, she
Good.
was thrilled. She made her
Good.
last evening in Pittsburgh exciting.
Good. Good. Yeah, we had a good time.
I was afraid to let her go. I heard she was going to
Of course, she's in good hands now.
No, we must see Nina sometimes, but many years since we've seen Nina.
Yes,
And we'll look forward to that.
yes,
And so we depart today back to England.
yes.
Lucia's just finished her GCSEs, General Certificate, Secondary Education, exams, and Natasha's just completed her A-levels, which is advanced from the General Certificate.
So two of your children then will be off to the university.
Yes, Natasha will take a gap year, travel to India, work in London, and continue to study languages. And then hopefully she'll go to Pembroke College at Cambridge University. And Daniel right now is already at Cambridge University, Jesus College.
Did Daniel take a gap year?
He did. Daniel went to Munich where he studied German at the Goethe Institute. He then worked in a chemical factory in Munich for several months. Wonderful experience. And he was home for Christmas, and then he went down to Nice and attended the École Française for several months. Then he came back to London and worked with a management consultant firm. And then he traveled around Europe. So he had a combination of improving his languages, doing a bit of work, and work experience, plus traveling around Europe. And soon Lucia will be doing it all.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay? Should we finish?
Okay, shall we just talk a little bit more about your wonderful life, Kathy, in England? And I'm sure that if I could start you off, I'd say opera, Shakespeare.
Yes, yes. We live in Stafford, in Staffordshire, which is very much in the country. Nan has been there many times. And we're near the town of Birmingham, which has a wonderful opera house. Simon Rattle was the conductor with the Birmingham Symphony Orchestra. And it's also wonderful theatre. But now that we're living in London 3 days out of the week, we have access to the Globe Theatre, which Sam Wanamaker built. That was his dream, and he did die just as it was about to open, or just about to be completed. The Globe is a wonderful recreation of the Shakespearean plays in the context of which Shakespeare wrote. There's an open roof, you're outdoors. There are some seats that are covered, and the stage is covered. So that's a wonderful, fun experience. People sit down or stand down below and taunt and tease and shout and boo and throw tomatoes at them.
And are encouraged to do so?
And encouraged to do so, yes, as a jester running around all the time. Wonderful acting. But our great love is opera, and we do go to Covent Garden. We go to the Welsh to hear the Welsh National Opera, and we also enjoy going to Glyndebourne, where we're taking the children this Sunday to hear Mozart's Così fan tutte, and where we have taken Nana and Jean as a wonderful experience. We'll have a picnic, and I suppose we do a lot of entertaining at home. Because Andrew's now in London full-time, we want his business people to know where he is, that he's around much more in London. Plus we have a lot of London friends now who we're spending much more time with. But then we love it when we go out to the country on the weekends. We probably enjoy Stafford much more.
Wonderful.
And we travel a fair amount. We may go to Brazil.
Would that be on business?
No, Andrew and I may just go together to Brazil. Or we may go to India to visit Natasha. I don't know, we'll have to see. But we're very lucky because the continent is just there. We can take the Eurostar right over to the continent and then travel around. Or we drive.
Yes.
So when everyone hears that I've gone off to Paris or gone off to Rome, you think, oh, that's so far away. But it's not. It's no further than the family flying from New York out to Pittsburgh or
Yes.
Chicago.
Yes.
So you and have an equidistant journey as we do traveling back to London when you return to San Francisco.
Yes.
It's just that we have Europe at our fingertips.
Yeah. Wonderfully so.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Another example of sentimental songs was another one on forgetting called I'll forget you when I can live without the sunshine. I'll forget you when I can live without the rain. When summer roses forget their fragrance and the songbird his sweet refrain. I'll forget you when all the silver of the moonlight fades forever, and I will bring love's dream again. When heaven's gladness has turned to sadness, I'll try to forget you in vain. Thinking about Roselle brings back so many memories. But one that she used to love to harmonize with, and it goes, there's a sweet old story you have heard before, here among the daisies, let me tell it o'er. Only say you love me, for I love you well. Seal it with a kiss, dear. Daisies never tell. Daisies won't tell, dear. Come kiss me, dear. Tell me you love me. Say you'll be true. And I will promise always to be tender and faithful, sweetheart, to thee. Come on along, come on along. Hear Alexander's ragtime band. Come on along, come on along. It's the best band in the land. You can hear the bugle call like you never heard before. So natural that you want to go to war. It's just the bestest band. What am I, honey lamb? Come on in here, come on in here. Now I will take you by the hand. Up to the man who's the leader of the band. And if you want to hear that Swanee River played in ragtime, come on in here, Alexander.